Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me cordially welcome you in Prague on Global Compact 2030 Summit on Corporate Sustainability with the motto, Looking into the Future of Corporate Sustainability, There is No Time to Waste. This summit is taking place almost exactly after 1 year when we launch a Global Compact network here in Czech Republic. That's why Prague is very proud to be the host of this event such soon after we officially joined United Nations Global Compact, the largest corporate sustainability initiative worldwide, which means that the Czech Republic become among one of the more than 80 countries with more than 12,000 signatories that have committed to aligning strategies and operations with universal principles on human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption, and taking actions that advance societal goals. Ladies and gentlemen, what will be today's topic to debate? Looking into the future of corporate sustainability, there is no time to waste. The power of social innovation, climate action, importance of gender equality in business. Of course, we have some surprises for you, but I think that 9 in the morning is no time to reveal them yet. It's a great honor for me to welcome here all the speakers, all the representatives from governments from all over Skanska, Avon, SAP, IKEA, Czech Republic. Our partners are Rossmann, Škoda, Crestil, Ipsos, Laceap, and GC Deco. The summit was given auspices by the President of the Czech Republic, the Prime Minister, Minister of Industry and Trade, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of the Environment, President of the Senate, Minister of Human Rights, Chairman of the Quality Council, and Minister of Labor and Foreign Affairs. Thank you all. Well, please let me welcome here on the stage the first speaker, the person who will, let's say, welcome you here. She is a doctor of economist, executive director and chairwoman of steering committee of the Global Compact Network, Czech Republic. Also, she's the founder and executive director of the Association of Corporate Responsibility, the organization which brings you this summit. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lucie Mádlová.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to welcome you all on behalf of Global Compact Network Czech Republic to this unique summit taking place right here in Prague. Last year, the UN Global Compact celebrated 15 years of its existence. The past 15 years, the UN Global Compact has become the greatest initiative and the strongest voice of corporate sustainability in the world. And it lasts 15 years to bring Global Compact to Czech Republic. And how did it happen? I would love to say easily, but it wasn't easy at all. It took 2 years of really hard work that began, as I remember, when I started my maternity leave. 3 years ago, when I established the Association of Social Responsibility, the host organization of the local network, I had one question on my mind. How is it possible that the Czech Republic is the only one country in Europe without the local network? How came that the local networks are everywhere around the world, including Africa, but not in Czech Republic? Something that seems to be impossible in spring 2013 turned into a reality 2 years later. In the April 2015, I signed the Memorandum of Understanding with Georg Kell, the founder and executive director from Global Compact, and thus the local network in Czech Republic was established. Those who know me know that I love new challenges which drive me still ahead. Therefore, last year in Berlin, when we discuss which country would host the next European local network meeting, I said, okay, let's do it in Prague. Because Prague is one of the most beautiful European cities, you know it. Since last October till now, many sleepless nights have passed, but it has been worth it. I can see almost 300 people in this audience, not only representatives from local networks, from European local networks, also UN Global Compact headquarters, but also top representatives from businesses around the world and more than 33 representatives from governments. So, in March, the United Nations Global Compact Executive Director Rizek Kingo announced the UN Global Compact Panel Pledge. You know, a new global effort to help, but and to all male panels. I believe that we have changed the status quo in Czech Republic. As a woman, our keynote speaker she's a great woman, strong woman. Moreover, two panels are equal by gender, and for other two panels, we actually had to look for men, not to be represented only by women. So, and what challenge is in front of me right now? Perhaps the most difficult one. You know, it's not needed to think of new and additional matters regarding sustainability. More important is to grab what we already have and what has already been invented, not to apply all these things into our daily lives. And that is exactly what Global Compact offers and does. Therefore, I would like to use this opportunity for appealing to all global signatories of UN Global Compact in Czech Republic, who still hesitate with or an action, or for some hardly, for me, unbelievable reason, are not able to act to join us. Because together we can create a sustainable future for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, thank all of these partners, thank you participants, and it might sound like a cliche. I hope it's not. There is no time to waste, and the future is in your hands. Thank you so much and enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia, for a welcoming speech. Ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker is so-called head of the heads, executive director of the UN Global Compact and a recognized expert in corporate sustainability. Prior to joining the UN Global Compact in 2015, she was a Chief of Staff, Executive Vice President, and a member of the Executive Management Team at Novo Nordisk, which became, among being a worldwide pharmaceutical leading company, #1 in the Corporate Knights 2012 annual survey and named the most sustainable company in the world. For the work in promoting sustainable business, she received the Edinburgh Medal and Tomorrow Magazine's Environmental Leadership Award. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lisa Kingo. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here in the beautiful city of Prague. And I want to start by congratulating Lucia for doing such a wonderful job in only 1 year and bringing us all to Prague. And I think we should give Lucia and the team here one big, great applause for doing such a wonderful achievement. So we have a great day ahead of us, and it's my opportunity now just to talk a little bit about why it is there's no time to waste, and what plan we have already coined within the United Nations Global Compact to do our very best to make sure that we are wasting no time at all. So, we have already heard a little bit about how it all began with the Global Compact 15 years ago. And I thought I would just bring this very nice quote to you that Kofi Annan brought to the World Economic Forum when he launched the idea about creating the Global Compact more than 15 years ago. I propose that you, the business leaders, and we, the United Nations, initiate a global compact of shared values and principles which will give a human face to the global market. Isn't that beautifully said, and just as important today than when it was stated more than 15 years ago? At the Global Compact, we have the good fortune of the protection of the Secretary General of the UN. So the initiative was created 15 years ago by Mr. Kofi Annan, but has been under great leadership of the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon for the last 8 years, and has really helped us make the initiative grow to what it is today. So the compact today, as Lucia was already mentioning, is the world's largest sustainable business initiative. What is very special about our initiative is that, like the UN, it's very global. So we have representation in more than 160 countries. We have more than 85 local networks. I should say that they have different sizes, they have different maturity, but it's a great network to implement a new initiative like the Sustainable Development Goals that I will revert to in a moment. We build on the 10 principles that all come out of UN conventions and UN values. And you see them up here on the screen, and we already spoke about them briefly this morning. What I just want to add, that is something very particular for the UN Global Compact, is that all signatories, all business signatories, and we have more than 8,500 companies in the compact, have to submit a report, a communications on progress on each of these 10 principles every year. So as you can imagine, we have a great database in the compact of the activities that all our member companies are doing to drive their sustainability work based on these 10 principles that we define as the foundation of running a business in a responsible way. Something that companies should always do no matter what. It has been a quite amazing journey to come from a large multinational company working in business for more than 25 years and then taking on the position as Executive Director of the United Nations Global Compact. But I can also assure you that it has been an amazing experience, not least due to the fact that for the UN, it has been a historic milestone. Never before in time has the global world community united in this way to create a plan for the future. That plan is called Agenda 2030, and it includes the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We also had in December a climate agreement in Paris, which was a wonderful addition to the new Agenda 2030. So pulling the two together gives us a foundation for moving forward that is absolutely unique. The world has never before had such a clear leading star for where it is we need to go. And not only did all the state leaders in the world unanimously agree to both the climate agreement and also to the 2030 agenda, but for all the sustainable development goals, a long multi-stakeholder process took place 3 years before the goals were actually finally coined. And Global Compact was a very important player in giving business the opportunity to provide their comments to how the goals should be phrased. So Compact was inviting and involving, I think, more than 3,000 companies in this process. So the result, when you have had an opportunity to provide your input, I hope is also that you feel greater ownership, and maybe that's why the take-off of the new Sustainable Development Goals have been absolutely amazing. For example, no matter where I go, I was in Oslo yesterday for a wonderful event on business for peace. Everybody talks about the Sustainable Development Goals. There's such an interest and such an enthusiasm. So I think we are in a wonderful place. There's no time to waste. But we also have to remember the Agenda 2030. That's the plan we have as a world community to create a better future for our children. But there is no plan B. This is what we have, and this is what we have agreed upon, so we better do it. And I can assure you that many stakeholders are looking to the UN Global Compact to facilitate the implementation of these goals, because we are the only sustainable business organization that actually sits within the UN, and the goals come out of the UN. So we have a great responsibility and also a great opportunity. So how do these new goals link to the 10 principles that we build on? Well, I think it's quite simple, because the 10 principles is our foundation. The new goals is, of course, the direction that we need to move towards. And in order to get from A to B, Global Compact is offering a set of platforms for businesses and organizations across the world to facilitate and engage that building on the principles, we get to the targets. So we have platforms that many businesses across the world are engaged in, on climate, on water, on gender. We will have a great keynote speech a little bit later on this very important theme of women empowerment, cities, peace, poverty, decent work, and then very importantly, our UN Business Hub, where the Compact facilitates that businesses can find an easy way into the UN system and partner with UN entities to make the new goals become a reality. So, how should we describe the situation we are in right now, this wonderful situation, where we have the new Sustainable Development Goals and we would like the entire world to know about them? Many of you in the audience, I believe, is from business. And at the Global Compact, we are a little bit in the same situation as when a company has to launch a new product or a new concept. We know that we have something wonderful, but we also have to run a process to make sure that our audiences first have awareness, that there is something called the Sustainable Development Goals, that hopefully we can create an interest, after that a desire to work with the Sustainable Development Goals, and take action to make them become a reality. Today, we have a lot of companies in the room, but you also know that there are many other companies that are not participating today. And we need to reach out to those companies and also create awareness around the new Sustainable Development Goals. So, what we have coined at the offices in New York, together with a selection of representatives from our local networks, is a multi-year SDG campaign. We call it Making Global Goals Local Business. You don't create awareness about a concept like the global goals in 1 year. It will take many years, and you will have to launch the ideas from many different perspectives. We have made the first initiatives in looking at how business leaders see business opportunities in the new 17 goals. And if you look across the goals here, you can see that decent work and economic growth is one of the most interesting SDGs for a number of businesses. Good health and well-being, life on land, all the way through. The partnership goal is the one that is apparently least understood and accepted by business today. So I think the whole partnership notion is one we have to discuss much more in the future. This is just a sort of first glance at the goals based on a survey we have made together with DNV in Norway, the House of Monday Morning in Copenhagen, among 5,500 business leaders across the world. So at least a first snapshot. Another interesting set of data we get from that same survey is this one that illustrates the top SDGs by region for business. And here I think it's very clear why we need to develop local plans for implementing the SDGs across the Global Compact network. Because countries have different priorities. And that's why we have made the campaign Making Global Goals Local Business. And we hope that it will be possible for us to liaise with the governments in each of the countries where we are present to contribute with the knowledge that we have and work together with the governments to create really great SDG plans. Well, so one of the first themes in our global campaign is to identify local SDG pioneers. A little later in the program, we will see a video with a very good friend, Paul Pullman from Unilever, who is doing an absolutely amazing job, basically as a business pioneer for sustainability. We cannot clone Paul Pullman. So what we have done is to create an initiative that will hopefully bring forward the next generation of people like Paul, that with passion, with business insight, drive the whole sustainability agenda. So all our local networks have been looking for SDG pioneers. We have today more than 600 candidates. They will be selected, and we will identify the two sort of winners at our summit in New York in June. One that is a change agent, one that is an entrepreneur, and I'm expecting to see business leaders from all over the world, from big and small companies, from startups, from established companies, and I also hope to see a lot of women in that pioneer group. So it's the first time we will honor pioneers in June, but it's again a multi-year program, so we hope that we can create a movement of pioneers that can help us implement the new agenda and make sure that they represent the next generation in how business is run. The campaign is part of the set of activities that we are running at Compact globally. But I also want to emphasize that we work with partners on many other activities to further the 2030 agenda. This idea about working with partners is so important because nobody will implement the SDGs on their own. Like Ban Ki-moon says, the SDG goals, that's the people goals. They are for all of us, and we will have to participate, each of us, in making them a reality. So besides running our campaign throughout the global organization, we are also contributing to trying to make a macroeconomic business case for the SDGs as member of the Business Commission for the Sustainable Development Goals. So I'm a commissioner on this very important group that counts some of the most important business people and thinkers in the world around sustainability. We are working on linking business into the UN system. We hope much more than has been the case in the future. There are already a number of companies that have partnerships with UN entities, and we hope that with the new global goals, that will increase even more, and at the Compact, we will help facilitate these contacts. Another important theme that we need to introduce rather sooner than later to companies around the global goals is breakthrough innovation. The goals will require not only incremental innovation from companies, but also breakthrough innovation. The new goals is more than continuing the present CSR activities. They are great activities and they should definitely be continued. But the new Sustainable Development Goals are also very systemic in their nature. So you could say that the bar for working with sustainable business for companies has been moved up. And the goals are now asking companies to be engaged in global challenges like fighting poverty, like creating peace and non-conflict across the world, and be part of some of the huge global challenges that it will need all stakeholders to solve in the future. We are also developing a set of tools and resources for companies, and I'll revert to those in a moment. And we are working on how we can develop some sort of impact reporting from the SDGs and also from the 10 principles that Compact is building on. We are already doing this annually with the 10 principles, but since we have so many companies reporting to our database every year, we would also like to utilize the information that we will receive on the new global goals. So here you see some of the partners that we are working with across the world. This is just a fraction because all global networks are also working with various partners, and that is definitely the way it should be. So you see the Global Opportunity Report that we are doing with DNV Monday morning, the SDG Compass that we have produced together with GRI and the World Business Council, SDG industry matrices with KPMG in many different businesses such as transportation, finance, very useful tool, the poverty footprint with Oxfam to explore what the SDG on eradicating poverty might mean for businesses. With Volans, we work on breakthrough innovation, and then finally the Business and Sustainable Development Commission. So I hope that I'm giving you an impression that all hands are on deck to make sure that we are wasting no time at all. So what we are doing is to build a multi-year SDG journey where something new will happen every quarter of the year to create momentum, interest, news around the SDGs every quarter of the year. So I think you might recognize some of the issues that I have been speaking about that will take place throughout the year. And we hope that in the beginning of next year, we will introduce very interesting breakthrough innovation thoughts to all our signatories. So today, I'm inviting you to join the journey with the global UN Global Compact organization to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. And the next stop on that journey will be our Leaders Summit in New York in June, where we will identify and celebrate the first SDG pioneers. Thank you very much for your attention.
I have to thank Lisa for summarizing the SGD goals, and of course the importance that we finally are signed to be the part of the worldwide network. And I hope that this summit will show you the steps you can follow to be the really sustainability corporation. Well, the other speaker was supposed to be the Minister of Industry and Trade of the Czech Republic, but Mr. Minister has to apologize himself due to the current events concerning the OKD company. But anyway, I'm really truly happy that I can invite here his Deputy Minister, Engineer Jiří Havlíček, who is strongly interested in the corporate sustainability. Good morning, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the Czech Republic and the Ministry of Industry and Trade to this momentous global summit, and say how proud I am that such a significant event is taking place here in the Czech Republic. I am honored to have the opportunity be here today and to be a part of such a crucial milestone in the field of social responsibility and corporate sustainability in the Czech Republic, as well as to assume patronage of this event. At the very beginning, I would like to emphasize that the summit is taking place here in Prague, mainly thanks to the strong determination and activity of the Global Compact Network Czech Republic and its host organization, the Association of Social Responsibility, which has made a tremendous job in a very short time of its existence. I am pleased that the Ministry of Industry and Trade and the Quality Council of the Czech Republic are its main supporters from the very beginning. The recent events, such as introduction of Sustainable Development Goals and signing of Paris Climate Change Agreement, are clear evidence that the corporate sustainability agenda has become an essential part of both international and national policies. Such issues like gender equality, climate change, sustainable energy resources, and many more are the matters that cannot be ignored. The government of the Czech Republic takes these issues into account and puts extra effort to reflect them in all its strategies and activities, because the government is aware that the public expects a proactive approach and impulses to actions from us. This trend is also indicated by results of the latest survey conducted by the Ipsos agency. According to this survey, more than 70% of the Czech population consider the government to be a key player both in respect of meeting the Sustainable Development Goals and sustainable development in general. That is the figure that we cannot and we will not ignore. However, if we want to develop sustainable issues, sustainable business, and make our contribution to Sustainable Development Goals effectively, it's necessary to involve in actions all participants from all levels, ministries, state administration, as well as regional and local authorities, and to coordinate our activities. Moreover, the cooperation with non-governmental and business sectors is inevitable, because businesses are to be the key implementers of majority of goals. As regards the Sustainable Development Goals, I have to draw your attention to one essential fact. This global agenda is actually very relevant for the Czech Republic as a country. We have to realize that the Sustainable Development Goals represent the universal agenda applicable to all developing as well as developed countries, and also to all levels of governance, means international, national, and regional. In fact, 17 SDGs include 169 particular targets, from which 2/3 touch both national and international agenda, which implies that all problems related to these goals should be openly discussed and solved both in the Czech Republic and abroad. However, in order to achieve the SDGs, effective coordination of particular participants is necessary, as well as strong leadership, which we as the government will strive to provide. I realize that there is a long way to go, but it's very important that we have already started working ahead. The establishment of the Global Compact Network Czech Republic was one of the first steps, and this conference is another step in this direction. I can, on behalf of the Ministry of Industry and Trade, promise that in the future we are going to support UN Global Compact in the Czech Republic further on, and shall apply its know-how into our strategies and activities. Our support to Global Compact in the Czech Republic is significant already now. It has become one of the main priorities of the recently updated National Action Plan of Corporate Social Responsibility, produced by the Ministry of Industry and Trade as a national administrator of this agenda in the Czech Republic. As another positive example, I can mention the implementation of a new national program, the National Award of the Czech Republic for Social Responsibility and Sustainability. According to this program, organizations shall be newly assessed according to the International Assessment Model EFQM, committed to sustainability. This model has been designed by EFQM in cooperation with UN Global Compact and reflects its principles. Therefore, I would like to use the opportunity of being here today to appeal to all the organizations that are active in the social responsibility and corporate sustainability areas to consider their participation in the new national program, which is managed by the Quality Council of the Czech Republic, because besides the chance to receive the national or international certificate, each organization will get a professional feedback on its performance in respect of the sustainability of the business. I personally perceive the fact that the summit is taking place here in the Czech Republic as the evidence of the local companies and the public are concerned with our future. At the same time, I see it as a sign that the Czech Republic is perceived abroad as the country where companies are willing to learn, implement CSR into their strategies, and thus to contribute to the sustainable development of the society. Thank you all for your attention, and I wish you to leave this summit with positive energy and motivation for your future work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're very thankful that Mr. Jiří Havlíček placed here the minister's speech. And we are very thankful that you ensured us that the Ministry of Trade and Industry will be supporting the Global Compact. And I just want to say that this conference is recorded, so just keep it in your mind. Well, for the first time in the Czech Republic, we are very honored to welcome here one of today's most internationally recognized voices for quality education and women empowerment. Well, I think that all of us sometimes has days which are, let's say, not going well. Sometimes you feel like that you would rather answer to anybody's questions. I don't want, I don't have a day, I can't, I don't know why, I don't know how. But once you get to know the life story of our key speaker, you will have hard times to apologize yourself that you don't have that power, that you are not strong enough. Because this lady, her life was determined to be poor as the environment she is coming from. But after I get to know her story, I know that the destiny is beatable. Ladies and gentlemen, please see the video of Tererai Trend, our keynote speaker. Good day.
Tererai Trent grew up in this remote village in Zimbabwe. She was raised in a hut with no running water or electricity and little hope for the future. She traveled back here to tell us her remarkable story.
They're saying work hard, work hard. Now we welcome Tererai. She has worked hard.
It was a homecoming for an unlikely hero. To these women, Tererai Trent has become a symbol of hope.
As a little girl, I was desperate to learn. I was secretly doing my brother's homework, and I learned to read and write from my brother's books.
Eventually, a teacher discovered their secret and begged Tererai's father to let her come to school. But after only 2 terms, Tererai was married off, and by the time she was 18, she was already a mother of 3.
When my husband realized that I wanted to have an education, he would beat me. I have nightmares of that time of my life.
In 1991, a woman from an organization called Heifer International visited Tererai's village.
She started asking us what our hopes and what our dreams.
And I remember very clearly saying, my name is Tererai, and I want to go to America to have an education. And she just looked at me. If you desire those things, it is achievable. Then my mother said, write those dreams down on paper and bury them. And if you truly believe in those dreams, then you'll see them grow and grow and grow.
Terai wrote down her dreams that day, placed them in a scrap of tin, and buried them under a rock.
There it is.
My mother said, "You are the last person to break this vicious cycle of poverty, and I want you to do that." And I did it. I did it.
I wanted to surprise her because, as often happens with people who are living from the fullest part of themselves, you work hard, you accomplish, and then you want to share those accomplishments, what you have achieved, with other people. And so I wanted to help her make that dream come true. And so what did it feel to walk across that stage just this past year and get your doctorate degree?
It was so unbelievable.
What is your dream now?
I feel I need to give back. It's not only about Tererai, but it is about thousands and millions of children that are out there, thousands and millions of girls that are not having the education. I need to build a school in my village.
Trying to build a school.
I'm trying to build a school.
When Tererai was here in 2009, we got a glimpse at the horrible conditions of the school. The buildings are literally falling apart, holes in the ceilings, force children to sit along the walls when it rains. And most of the classrooms don't have desks, so the students do all their reading and writing on the floor. And the teachers have no supplies, and as a result, there's a dismal 14% pass rate. I have been so moved by your story. Your story is, you know, at the core of everything I believe in the possibility of a human life here on earth. And for that reason, I am going to help you rebuild your school. I'm donating $1.5 million. Yes. I'm donating $1.5 million to... And I want you to have help doing it because I know it's hard. Save the Children is going to spend 3 years working with teachers and children and parents in the area to improve literacy and basic education. So ultimately, 4,000 children will have a better education because of you. We're going to build a school together. We are going to build a school.
It is achievable.
And it is achievable. Ooh, that makes me so happy. That makes me so happy. You know, if you will roll the tape and you will see that moment where when she first comes out and we first look at each other, that is just a solid moment. That is a woman to woman. That is a I see you, I know who you are, and I know what it takes to do what you have done. That's what I call holy moments, when you look at somebody and you feel the fullness of who they really are. That's what that moment is about.
Ladies and gentlemen, please big applause for Tererai Trent. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure for
Thank
us.
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. How can we achieve the sustainable development goals? I know how. The Native Americans, they have taught us one thing. They said, humankind has not woven the web of life. We are one thread within it. Whatever we do to the web, we are doing it to ourselves. All things bound together, all things are connected. Our survival is tied to the survival of others. Ladies and gentlemen, our common humanity and responsibility to each other is what is going to ignite this world to be a better place. If not now, then when? Many have seen the video and many have heard my story. And it's a story that represents many, many, many individuals in this world, many women and girls. And many, when they read my story, at times they come to the conclusion that poor Tererai, she must be a victim. And let me say this to you. No, I am not a victim. I am part of the solution. And here is how I have learned to define myself. I am a dreamer. I am the master and mistress of my own destiny. I refuse to let the past define who I am. I refuse to let the present challenges in my pathway define the direction that I want to go to. I defied the rules of my father. I defied the rules of my culture. And I refuse to keep silent about societal expectations that marginalize women and girls to be submissive at the expense of their own dignity. The question now is, why did I defy everything that shaped generations of women before me? Why did I defy everything that shaped my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mother? I defied because I had hunger for an education. I was married when I was very young. By the time I turned 18, I had 3 children without a high school diploma. One of the children died as an infant because I could not breastfeed the child. I was a child myself. I want to motivate you. I want to inspire you. I want you to believe that we can change the circumstances. This is not only about me. This story is not only about Tererai. This is a story that represents the young girl in Cameroon. It's a story that represents the young woman and men in Europe somewhere. It's a story that represents the reality of world. If not now, then when? We need to change the narrative. You see, I come from a long line of generations of women and girls who had been married very young. Young before they could define their own dreams. My great-grandmother was married off to my great-grandpa, and she became the 6th wife. My grandmother was married off to my grandfather, and she became the 5th wife. My own mother would end up taking care of many children that my father brought in the home. The children that he had with many, many other wives. That's where I'm coming from. But I always remember when I was young, people in the community, they would come knocking at my grandmother's heart and say, "Can you come and deliver babies?" Without the ability to read and write, my grandmother would walk up and go and deliver babies, and she delivered thousands of babies in the communities and surrounding areas. Then as she was getting old, my grandmother was shaking and her eyes were failing her. And she would always say, "Baby girl, do you know why I shake so badly? It is because these hands have delivered so many babies. And do you know why my eyes are getting blind? It's because I have seen so many private parts." I begin to realize if my great-grandmother had been given the opportunity for an education, maybe she would have become one of the best gynecologists of our times, if not the whole world. I grew up in a country known as Rhodesia, and today it's known as Zimbabwe. I grew up herding cattle, never saw the door to a kindergarten. And I remember my childhood, I would go early in the morning and chase birds in my father's field. And all I wanted was an education. It was a time of war. And as the men were going out to fight and some working in the towns, they would come home at times once in a year. The main means of communication were letters that were written to women. And yet women could not read these letters. And I would accompany my Aunt Chida. She always wanted to find someone to read a letter from her husband. And I would listen as these letters were being read by the young men in the village. Listen to these most intimate details. And I said to myself, no one was going to read my letters. I wanted to be able to go to school and read my own letters. That was the awakening of my own education. Unfortunately, as you saw in the video, I went to school, got married when I was young. And as our country gained independence, I met someone, a woman from Heifer International from the US. She asked me one question: what are your dreams? No one had asked me that question before. And I said, I want an education. What kind of an education? I want to have an undergraduate. I want to have a master's and a PhD. It is achievable. She said that. But she had no idea that I was a mother with all these many children and with no high school diploma. And I realized she saw the hunger in me, but she also saw her own hunger. And I want to challenge you with this idea of hunger. There are two kinds of hunger in our lives. There is the little hunger, and there is the big hunger. The little hunger says, I want immediate gratification. The little hunger says, I want to be famous. That's what the little hunger says. But the big hunger, the greatest of all hungers, it's hunger for a meaningful life. And it is the same hunger that is bringing you, all of you here, to start discussing about the development goals, because you realize that as a business community and as government employees and staff, we cannot live in a world where there are young women and young men who have no access to employment, who have no access to education. It is the great hunger in you that is rising and saying, let's go and meet together at the Global Compact meeting and see what solutions we can put in place. It is time. If not now, then. So when this woman said, you can achieve your dreams, I ran to my mother and I said, Mother, I met this woman. She made me believe I can achieve my dreams. My mother said, write down your dreams and bury them deep under the soil. And then you'll see them grow and grow. I come from a society where when a child is born, the little infant, they take and snip the umbilical cord, the birth cord, and they take the mother's dress, they tie the umbilical cord in the mother's dress and bury the umbilical cord with the belief that when the child grows, wherever they go, whatever happens in their life, the umbilical cord will always remind them of their birthplace. My mother realized I needed some faith in my life. She said, if you bury your dreams, Wherever you go, whatever happens in your life, despite the abuse life that you live, your buried dreams will always remind you of their importance, that they needed to be achieved. My mother also realized that someone in this family needed to break the cycle of poverty, the vicious cycle that forces the poor to marry off their young daughters, the vicious cycle that forces the poor to refuse their kids to go to school because they do not have the income. And that's the reason why I feel so honored to be speaking in front of you, because I know amongst you there are business people who have done business, who know the solutions to some of these issues that we are talking about. And you can help the global community, you can help our governments, you can help the poor communities to come up with the same solutions that you are using. I wrote 4 dreams first. I want to go to America. I want to have an undergraduate. I want to have a master's. I want to have a PhD. And I was ready to go and bury my dreams so I could see them grow and grow. Then my mother said, your dreams will have greater meaning when they are connected to the greater good. It's not only about the accumulation of your education. It's not only about the accumulation of your personal goals. It is about what comes out of your education and to what extent it is going to connect to the greater good. So I ended up writing down my 5th dream. I wanted to please my mother, I guess. When I'm done, I'll come back and improve the lives of women and girls in my community. My mother said, if you achieve these dreams, not only are you defining who you are, but you are also defining every life that comes out of your womb and generations to come. I knew my mother was handing me an inheritance, and I needed to hold on to that inheritance. I was tired of poverty. I wanted to change my pathway. How many of you here are familiar with this athletic where you have 4 or 5 individuals, they are running and they are holding this stick and they hand it over to the next set of runners and they are running and they hand it over to the next set of team of runners up until they achieve. How many of you are familiar with that? What is it called? What is that? Relay? And what is that stick that you're holding? Baton. I always visualize my great-grandmother was born with the baton. And I call it the baton of poverty, the baton of early marriage, the baton of every evil that you can think of, the baton of every I can't even describe that baton because it's a baton that shaped me. As my grandmother grabs that baton, she runs with that baton, she hands it over to my grandmother. My grandmother holds that baton of poverty, early marriage. She runs and she hands that baton to my mother. My mother grabs that baton, she runs with that baton, she hands it to me. I didn't want that baton. But here is what happened. As she hands that baton, she says, the baton of early marriage, the baton of poverty, the baton of everything that you can think of being marginalized, it ends here. Promise me that's the end of the baton. Jola comes in and say, we want to change the baton that is going to be handed to the next generation. Business community, I challenge you. I challenge you this morning. I want you to hold to that baton and change it because you have the solutions. I want you to hand over that baton, the baton of education, the baton of business models, the solutions that can work. I want you to run with that baton. You hand it to this community. This community takes that baton of education, the baton of good business models. They run with that baton and they hand it over. That's what will make humanity to be a better place. From the day I buried my dreams, it took me 8 years to achieve my high school diploma. 8 years of never giving up. 8 years of trying to get the next tuition that I needed for correspondence, because that time we were still going through the British system of education, where you write your exams and you send them to Cambridge and then they come back. 8 years of never giving up. When I achieved my GED, I found myself at Oklahoma State University, where I accomplished my undergraduate degree in agriculture. And I did my master's in plant pathology. And later on, I did another master's in epidemiology. I got a job. In my first trip home, I went to the place where I had buried my dreams, dug them up, and I could see there were 2 dreams still missing. The achievement of my PhD and the achievement of giving back to my community. I came back to the US and I found myself at Western Michigan University. I remember the day that I was given that paper that now says, you are now a PhD holder. You are now Dr. Trent. I felt like a lawyer. If there are lawyers in this house, don't quote me. And here was my closing argument. If we give opportunities to those who are torn down and marginalized by the social ills of our time, they can achieve their dreams. If we give education opportunities to women and girls, it is the best investment any country, any community, any society could do, because women are going to change this world. Now, I have my PhD. You would think I'm happy. I'm holding that paper. I go home and I'm thinking, gosh, mother, why did you make me write that 50th goal of giving back? How on earth am I going to give back to my community? Then I remember a conversation that I had with Jolak, the woman I had met some years back. She used the word tinogona. It's a phrase that the business community uses so much. It is achievable. If you write down your goals and you have them and they are measurable, it is achievable. So I said, I'm going to design my T-shirts, and I'm going to have the word Tinogona on my T-shirt. It is achievable. And I'm going to sell these T-shirts, and I'm going to sell millions. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to build a school. I'm going to show the community, and especially the men, that women can make a difference. I'm going to show my father and every man and every individual that if we give opportunities to girls, education opportunities, they can come back and make a difference. Dear Lord, I only managed to sell 20 T-shirts, and mostly to my friends, my American friends. I realized I didn't have a marketing degree. I was so devastated because I wanted to go home and look like a giant. I really wanted to. I wanted everybody to see that there is value in educating women. But here I am, I couldn't do it. Then I got a phone call, the most memorable phone call of my life, the call from Oprah Winfrey. She donated 1.5 million. And the money was managed by Save the Children. And in partnership with Oprah Winfrey, we have managed to rebuild a beautiful school and renovated 11 other schools. We have about 6,000 children that are going through our schools. One of the things that I realized as I was putting together the foundation, I knew I could not do it on my own. And I had a savvy businesswoman. She's here. And I said, can you sit on our board as the chairperson? Not only is Florence a smart lawyer in the country, we don't have many women lawyers. She's one of the first. But she's also a savvy businesswoman. She said, no NGO will survive only on donations. Aid is not going to do it unless if you put a business model, unless NGOs and community-based organizations operate like businesses, then we can eliminate poverty in Africa. Because every year you write your grant proposal, you send it, you get that money, it's done by the day after you have done all the activities. Then what? Then you wait again. But the business community have taught us so much that no, you have to create sustainable income so that we can go on and achieve this vision. And that's why I'm appealing to you that as business community, please inspire us. Give us the solutions. We can do it. Come and partner with local communities. Partner with local governments. And we'll do the best to help deliver the Sustainable Development Goals. We can't do it on our own. We can't do it on our own. Because you are going to hold the baton of education, the baton of good business models, the baton of anti-corruption, the baton that is going to make us be more aware of climate change. Because as rural women, we rely on the environment. So we need the solutions, the technology that work for us. We need that. We also realize that even after the partnership with a giant like Oprah, we work with rural schools. Most of our children, they walk 6 to 8 miles on barefoot to those dilapidated schools. They want education so much. And it got me thinking, but there is a correlation between education, academic performance, and nutrition. Do I need to bury another dream so that I can feed the children? And I'm saying no. I need to go back to the business community so they can show us solutions. Because it's not only me. Most developing countries, we have kids that are going to school hungry. They leave at school, and here we are, we say we can achieve the MDG goals. But there is a connection between academic performance and hunger. Up until we address those things, we can provide the quality education we think, we can put the curriculums that we think, but up until we address some of the social ills, we will never achieve these goals. And I come to you and I beg you to hold our hands, and we'll also hold yours, so we can achieve these goals. I come to you because you are the leaders. You understand how the world functions. We have seen success in your work. Can you help us as non-governmental organizations? Can you help us as governments? Can you partner us so that we can all achieve these goals. We can't do it on our own. I know you hold the power to give this world better tools. The tools that you are using, we need those tools. We need to sit with you. I'm not asking for your money, I'm asking for your heart. I want you to connect your heart to the mission, to connect your heart to the goals. Then you can come and invest because your heart is connected to what's going to make this world a better place. I come from a place where they say Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. Since we are, therefore I am. It's going to take great leaders like you to realize that we can make a difference, to realize that there is no time to waste. It is now. If we don't do it now, then when? Thank you.
And gentlemen, trend. Isn't it caregiver state now to apologize yourself when you don't have that strength, or you think that you don't have that strength to do things you've planned for? I have to just, how to say, I'm a little worried. I was thinking, being 18 years old, mother of 3 kids, living in Zimbabwe, down somewhere in the countryside, and you put on that 50 goals you want to accomplish, and one of them was that you want to have the US degree on a doctorate. So what was that 49 remaining? Okay, I just will talk to you later on about that. I'm really curious. Well, Lisa mentioned here before that the private sector is crucial for achieving the SDG goals, and she also mentioned that one of the pioneers is Paul Polman, the CEO of Unilever. He can't be here with us today, but he sent his personal video, which we will look at just in a minute. Before that, I would like to welcome here the Vice President of Unilever and President of the local network, Turkey, Mustafa Seking, who is in the audience. Good day, sir. Hello. Thank you for coming. Well, so let us watch the Paul Polman video.
Well, hello everyone. I'm sorry that I can't be there in person with you today, but I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. Unilever has been a proud partner of the UN Global Compact for over 10 years. More recently, I was delighted to hear that actually one of our Unilever vice presidents, Mustafa Sekin, has been elected to be the president of the Global Compact in Turkey. And as a global board member, I've seen how impactful it can be in helping companies take more responsible and strategic actions to address the challenges on both a global as well as local level. So I'm glad to be able to share a few thoughts with you today. Throughout this time, we've been crying out for a global framework that allows us to address the many challenges the world faces. Now we actually have it. The Sustainable Development Goals, which were adopted in September, they've provided us with the framework to resolve some of the world's most urgent challenges. They're ambitious, but if we achieve them, we will end poverty, fight inequality, and tackle climate change once and for all. And thanks to platforms like the UN Global Compact, you can all make an enormous difference. But as we know, these issues cannot be solved without the involvement of business. After all, in developing countries alone, business accounts for well over 60% of the GDP, 80% of the financial flow, and 90% of the job creation. Now, the good news is that we are seeing actions in many areas, and I'm actually optimistic. First of all, the financial markets are catching on. Take the example of Mike Carney's disclosure task force, for example, which is highlighting the financial exposure of companies to the risk of climate change. We're also seeing the green bond market exploding from next to nothing to well over $40 billion now. The second reason to be optimistic is that consumers are increasingly asking for more responsible products and more responsible companies. 80% of consumers now agree that business must play a role in the rollout of the Sustainable Development Agenda. Research is showing that the most responsible companies are actually also amongst the most fastest growing companies around the world. The third reason is that business is taking action, including many of you there today. Nearly 500 businesses now use an internal price for carbon, with many prices actually far higher than the national carbon prices set. Crucially, they are encouraging governments around the world to de-risk the global economic system with policy measures that will go with and not against the current tide of business sentiment. Fourth, some governments are actually also showing leadership. It's great to see, for example, that China's new 5-year plan aims to double the use of renewables. And more recently, we saw the signing of an historic pact with the US to limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees, not anytime too soon. I was also delighted to see that the Czech Republic signed the Under 2 MOU climate agreement just last week, committing to limit global warming to below 2 degrees. Over the next year, we will look at how we can make the SDGs an integral part of how every company operates, creating a mass movement for change at both a global as well as local level. One of the ways we intend to do this is through the newly formed Business and Sustainable Development Commission, which brings together international leaders from business, labor, financial institutions, and civil society to highlight the enormous rewards to business who take a lead in sustainable development. After all, companies cannot operate effectively in societies that are failing and where too many people are still left behind. This goes to the heart of the business model that we've set out at Unilever, what we call the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan, our strategic response to the issues we face and our blueprint for sustainable growth. It's now entering its 6th year, and we're actually proving that there is no trade-off between sustainable and profitable growth. And as I can see through my chairmanship, for example, of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, or my involvement with the Global Compact or B-Team and many other organizations, a growing number of businesses around the world are taking action, including many of you here. IKEA, for example, is leading the way on children's rights. Marks & Spencer's is working to finance literacy and inclusion for its workers in India, and the list goes on. But addressing the major global challenges calls for transformative action. That's why it's critical for businesses, governments, NGOs, and civil society to work in partnership to develop long-term solutions. And the work you are doing is a great example of that. Be it within the private sector, international organizations, national governments, or local NGOs. Partnership between these bodies will be essential if we are to drive the systemic change that benefits us all. I know that you have a thought-provoking agenda lined up today and some inspiring speakers. And I'm sure that it will help you develop your ideas, motivation, and accelerate the journey towards a brighter and more sustainable future. It will be through the work that we're doing through the organizations like the UN Global Compact that we will get there. Thank you once more for your leadership you are showing in advocating a better world for all. I certainly hope to visit your beautiful country soon, to meet some of you in person, and see the work you're doing firsthand. I want to thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this video was the last before the coffee break, which will take place now. I would like to just mark out that on the marketplace in the foyer, you can sign in for the guided tour of Slav Epic, which is a monumental painting from Alphonse Mucha, who painted it for almost 20 years. So you can see there Czech history, Czech nation history. And these tours are starting at 7:30, and 20. It means AM, PM, I'm sorry, PM. And they take 30 minutes. And if you feel that you really want to know something about us, just go there because it's really, really magnificent. So ladies and gentlemen, now is the coffee break for 20 minutes. And then we have the high-level panel. So enjoy your coffee. Gentlemen, how did you like our surprise? Terezie Kovalová. Terezie is one of the most talented Czech violoncellists, and she's belonging to the group of musicians who's trying to break the walls between the genders, which I think she's doing more than well. And I hope that you liked it because she'll come back in more than once again. Well, as I said before the coffee break, now we are finally here. The reason why we came here, the discussions, the panels, the topics, the debates, the solutions, hopefully, we will see. The first high-level panel is on looking into the future of corporate sustainability. There is no time to waste. As it was here many times clearly stated, it is more than important to, if we want the global changes, we have to put together all the sectors. It means the private one, the non-profit, and also the public sector. What exactly it means? How can the top companies build a better future? What means the sustainability for them? I hope that at least we will find one small little conclusion on these questions. Please, ladies and gentlemen, now let me invite here the first speakers of this event, I mean the panelists. Manuel Lepour from Total Company. Hello. Annette Ferguson, Vodafone Group. Karel Janeček, RCJ founder. Ain Bogler, architect and urban designer, who is most probably just passing this building on the airplane. But don't be worried, he will be here in, let's say, 25 minutes, hopefully.
No, I'm already here.
You're already here?
My first magic trick of the day.
Wow. So at least we know that you had a good company to fly with. You have to tell us which one was it. Well, so I just want to point out, we are trying to listen to your voice also. We are on Twitter, hashtag Global Compact 2030. Please, when you listen to the panelists and you would like to ask something, please don't hesitate, just send the tweet, and after their speeches, we will hopefully answer all of them. Well, now is the time for the first panelist. Mrs. Manuel Leputa, a Senior Executive Vice President, Executive Career and Management in Total since October 2013. She began her career for ELF in exploration and production research and development, where she was in charge of basin modeling. Manuel is a worldwide recognized expert in exploration field due to several positions in international companies. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you. I am honored to be here and to be given this opportunity to share with you what's sustainable, what is sustainable at corporate level for a company like Total. So I am part of Total, as it has been said. It's, for those who don't know, a very large private company, the first one in the CAC 40 in Paris, quoted in Paris, the fourth or the fifth, depending which criteria you take, oil and gas major private company. So I thought this morning, corporate sustainability is more than CSR, classical actions. Yes, I think that this is really has to be embedded in the corporate strategy, and I will try to share that with you as we try to do in Total. First, I think it has to be embedded in the corporate purpose of the company. So for Total, for example, the corporate purpose is energy. So we are an energy company, we produce, we transport, we sell energy. This is the main part of our business. To do that, we've done that for years. It is the roots of the company. We have very talented people who are very proud of their work because they know they are participating to deliver energy to people, and they all know in the company that energy is key for development. Energy is key to feed people. It's key to develop people, develop countries, have access to education even, I would say. As we've heard this morning, it's very important for communication, for well-being of people. So everybody wish to have access to modern form, to modern type of energies. So people are very proud. We do a kind of, every 2 years, a kind of inquiry among all of 100,000 employees in total. And there is something which is key, it's they are very proud. It's also people who are very competent in general, and the competency of the company is in many fields. It's technology, for sure, it's science, it's business, finance, and so on, human resources. So why are they so proud? Because, I mean, on the other hand, the roots of our company is in oil and gas. You know that, even though we are diversifying our business today, I will come back to that. But the roots of our business, the roots of our competencies, the heart of it is in oil and gas. So oil and gas is non-renewable resources. It's an energy, for sure, but it's non-renewable, and there are consequences on environment, on people, and so on. So I think the first thing, and why they are very proud, it's because they understand the finality of energy, the finality of the purpose of the company, and they also participate to the acknowledgement on the fact that we have impact, and these impacts are not all good for the planet and for the people. So I think the first step we've done, maybe 10 years ago, I don't remember exactly the date, is to acknowledge that, yes, we can be proud of what we do, can be proud of our competencies, of our strengths, of our financial strengths, but we do also have to acknowledge that we have impacts and we have to do progress on that. And we have to participate to the progress on that. So the impact, you know all of them. We have impact on environment, because when you produce, when you have an industry of transformation of oil and gas in several products and energy, you emit things in the atmosphere, you use water, you use a lot of things, so you can impact a lot the environment if you do not progress on these impacts. If you don't use your competency also to lower the emissions, for example, around an industry. That's just an example. We do also have impact on people, because our, for example, our industry is not without risk. It's huge facilities, huge industrial facilities, and you all know that we've had, as a global industry, not specifically Total, but Total also, huge accidents with a lot of fatalities. Probably some of you still have in mind the Piper Alpha platform in the North Sea with more than hundreds of people that were injured. You also have probably more in mind the Macondo issue from a platform of BP disaster in the Gulf of Mexico. So yes, we are at risk and we have to progress on that. I will come back on that. People all know that inside the company and for sure the public. We have an impact on climate, yes, because the fact that we produce oil and gas molecules is just to recover the energy of the carbon-hydrogen bond. And when you recover this energy by burning it, you emit CO2 at the atmosphere. So yes, we do have an impact as an industry, and our product that we sell has impact on the climate. So we know that, and we have to acknowledge it to be able to be also part of the solution. Why? We wish to be part of the solution because we think we have the competency to do it, but probably not alone. And that I will come back to that. But we are part of the solution. For example, I talk about the impact we can have on people, on the safety of people, on the security of them, because we do work in 140 countries. So you know that this world is not secure everywhere, for sure. So we have set, for example, inside Total, a zero fatality objective. We do believe that we can reach this objective, zero fatality, inside our work and also on that. And I must admit that since that time, we decided to have zero fatalities. It's more than 200 days we did not have any fatalities. Because if you don't set this objective, if you don't believe that you can reach a goal, you will never reach it, as we've heard this morning. So the top executive of the management had decided, no, now stop. The life of people is a value, so we put a goal on 0 fatalities. And I hope we are going to be there for long, but we are there today. So this knowledge, to do that, it's not only to wish it, it's also to develop all the means that goes with that, to have plans and all that. To do that, we can do that inside the company, but we also have done that with programs we've shared with the NGOs and countries on road safety, for example, in Africa. We have a lot of actions on that, because as we sell fuel and gasoline, road is an issue for us, and road safety is a key program for us. These are just examples. On the climate issue, we are part of the problem, and we wish to be part of the solution. So we have observed, studied the International Agency Energy roadmap for 2 degrees Celsius, for example, and what we've seen is that anyway, we have to invest in new energies. Because in the energy mix of the future, we will not reach 2 degrees route without new energies. So as we are in the energy sectors, we have the capacity of investment. We have decided 5 years ago to invest in a very, very important manner in solar energy. And within 10 years, our plans is to invest more than $20 billion in solar energy, for example, to be able to have this mix and not only say, yes, we need new energy, but yes, we invest to develop new energies and to make it affordable for everybody. We do also have a lot of geoscientists, because to find oil and gas resources, you need these competencies. I am a geoscientist, by the way. And so we do want to put at the service of the community this knowledge to dig more in the capacity of reinjection of CO2 or storage of CO2. So we invest in R&D in that, and we are part of international programs in that. So it's just some example to say how this has to be reality, this has to become reality and not only words or good actions. I said that, in our view, energy is key for people development, but we do know that a lot of people do not have access to modern form of energy. It's why we have developed, and we know also that just giving money and doing charity programs to give access to people of energy is not sustainable. You all know that here. So 5 years ago, we decided to launch a program which is called Access to Energy, with a mark which is Awango. And the idea is to work with startups, with NGOs in the field, to develop ways of people that do not have access to connection, modern form of electricity, be able to buy and sustain their own solar device, which is the first step in the access of energy. Now we have more than 5 billion people in the world that have access through Awango to solar energy, but they have afforded that by themselves. It's not a charity program, but it's a very nice program. To do all that, I think what is key is, like for all corporate issues, it's to have a vision at the top of the company. And from this vision, build a strategy, as we do for business anyway, so we know how to do that. And then, from this strategy, build business case, business plans, and measure if we progress in that. For things that are very close to business, for KPIs around impact on environment, CO2 emissions, this is quite easy. Maybe the field where it's a bit more difficult for corporates, companies like us, is how do you measure the impact you have on engagement, commitment of people around your corporate purpose. One of the first things we can do, and we do in Total, is work on diversity. So 10 years ago, even a bit more, we started to work on that, and all kinds of diversity, stating that everybody has to have equal chance in the company to progress and have access to top management position or expert position of whatever, if they have the competences. When I speak about diversity, For sure, it's gender diversity, but it's also cultural diversity, nationalities diversity, sexual orientation, political, religion, whatever philosophical opinion. And then it's not only a question of counting people. Yes, we started to have KPIs to see if what we said was going to be followed and really implemented. But once we started to see that, yes, we have following and we have reached these objectives and KPI in terms of number of women at the top executive level and so on, are we really inclusive of these people? Is it everybody in the company that is really convinced that it is good for the purpose of the company? It's what I mean, the inclusion of all these people to the corporate purpose. And this needs cultural change at all levels of the company, and it's the step in which we are today. Because yes, numbers are key, KPIs are key, companies knows how to do that, but when it's more soft issues, it can be a bit tougher and more difficult. So we do work with that, and not alone, because in that issue, for example, association, NGOs, and all that can bring a lot to the table to big corporates like ours. It's not only a question of investment, it is a question of investment. You have to be able to invest. It's also a question of people, competencies, but it's also a question of partnership, competencies, and culture. Thank you. Sorry.
Manuel, thank you very much. Thank you. The next panelist is Annette Ferguson, the head of Sustainable Business, Vodafone Group. She's also responsible for Vodafone's human rights program. Prior to joining Vodafone, Annette had roles at the Sustainable Development Charity Forum for the Future and BP.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much to the Czech Republic Network of the Global Compact for the invitation to come here today. I think we've heard a lot this morning about the challenges that the world faces in terms of social, developmental, and environmental challenges. And we have now the UN Sustainable Development Goals that set a clear long-term direction and framework for all players, for business, for government, and for civil society. And business has a really significant role to play here to meet these goals, and I see that as two sides for business. The first is to operate responsibly and ethically in everything we do, to minimize any negative environmental impacts, to respect human rights, to treat our employees, the people who work in our supply chain, our local communities fairly, and to also transparently address the issues that are of key concern to our stakeholders. But I think the second role of business, and here I mirror what Manuel has said, is businesses must ensure what they do, their fundamental purpose, is delivering tangible benefits at scale for society. Now, Vodafone is one of the largest communications companies in the world. We operate in 26 countries. We have partners in 57 more. And we have over 450 million mobile customers across the world. And I believe that mobile and digital are a powerful source for good. Communication networks underpin every aspect of modern society. People use them to stay in touch with family and friends, to access information and learn more about the world they're in, and also to access services that can improve health and well-being, develop their skills, and improve their chances for economic empowerment. And over the last year at Vodafone, we have developed a new 10-year sustainable business framework and strategy. And the intention was very much to ensure that our sustainable business framework was very closely aligned to the core commercial goals of our business and to maximize the social and environmental benefits that can come from achieving those goals. And so our new framework sets out our intentions around operating responsibly and improving the range and depth of our disclosure around the key issues that really are of public concern. But it also looks at how our technology can transform society. And this is a belief that the Vodafone Foundation also shares, and through its Connecting for Good strategy focuses on how we can use our technology to tackle some of the really challenging social issues in the world. And in fact, earlier this week, the foundation launched one of its biggest philanthropic programs, which is called Instant Schools for Africa, which is an initiative aimed at providing millions of young people in the countries we operate in Africa with free access to online learning materials. But philanthropy is part of the role of business, but I want to focus the rest of my talk around the transformational impact of technology and what we can do as Vodafone to really deliver social benefit there. And on two key areas that are themes of this summit, women's empowerment and energy innovation. We've heard very inspiringly about a personal story around women's empowerment this morning, and there has been significant progress. There are more girls than ever in education, and there's been a reduction in the number of women who die in childbirth. There are more female entrepreneurs. However, major challenges remain, and there is no time to waste. There are almost 60 million girls who have no access to education in the world. Women are economically disadvantaged compared with men. They're less likely to be employed in formal work. They earn less. They're less likely to benefit from education and training. They're less likely to set up businesses. And in our area, there are 1.7 billion women in the world who don't have access to a mobile and all the benefits that it can bring. And here too, there is a gender gap. It's estimated that there are about 200 million women, less than men, who have a mobile. And this prevents them from reaping the benefits that mobile can bring. And to give you an example from Tanzania, we are working with the Tanzanian government and local partners on something called the mHealth Tanzania Partnership. And this is about reducing avoidable maternal deaths every year and using mobile to provide free antenatal support to women across the country, even in the most rural areas in Tanzania. So expectant mothers receive 3 or 4 text messages a week that gives them information aligned to national public health guidelines. It's tailored to the stage of the pregnancy that they're at. It reminds them about antenatal clinics, about taking anti-malarial medication, and health advice tailored to their stage of pregnancy. And we've reached millions of mothers since the service was launched in 2012 and sent over 55 million text messages to those pregnant women to support them and their families. Another example is relating to women and girls' education. I met a lady about 3 years ago, an Egyptian lady called Wafa Mohammed Ramadan, and she lives in Cairo and is in her 50s. And she faced a lot of problems due to her lack of education. She once signed a document that signed away her house and her shop and her jewelry because she didn't know what she was signing. She once gave her child the wrong medication because she couldn't read the box. And she's one of millions of women in Egypt who are unable to read and write. And through the Vodafone Egypt's foundation work on a program called Knowledge is Power, we've worked with the government and local partners to develop a program that brings together classroom-based learning, but also digital learning tools. So you can download an app onto your phone that you can use whenever it's convenient around your other responsibilities to learn to read. And over 200,000 Egyptians have successfully graduated from that program. Around 70% of those are women. So Wafa now not only teaches her children to read using what she's learnt and the program, but also her neighbours. Our ambition on women's empowerment in our new strategy sits alongside our own diversity and inclusion program within Vodafone as a business, but it's to connect millions more women who are not currently connected to mobile and to provide those value-added services that can have a positive impact on their lives in the areas of financial inclusion, health, and skills development. So moving to another area that's a key focus of our new 10-year strategy, and that's around energy innovation. And we've heard already this morning about the challenge of climate change, around clear evidence of global temperatures rising and consensus amongst policymakers and scientists of the need for action. And of course, in Paris, world leaders agreed to a target to maintain global average temperature rise below 2 degrees. And communications infrastructure, we can't function without energy. We need a lot of electricity to connect the billions of people and machines that transmit calls and data every second. And the challenge is growing as more people connect, as every additional gigabyte of data is sent, we need more energy to meet those needs. So we have a responsibility as a business to manage our own energy consumption and associated emissions. But our technology can also enable others and other sectors to really improve their energy efficiency. So new technologies such as the Internet of Things are spreading into every aspect of daily life, and they bring network intelligence to devices, to machines, to processes that can really drive energy efficiency and reduce the associated emissions. So another very simple example, we worked with a bank in New Zealand, ASB Bank, who had increased energy costs and use, and there were government targets they needed to meet. And they decided to install smart meters, meters with a Vodafone SIM card in their 167 branches, in their call center, in their data center, and their offices. And what those meters can do is they collect data every 15 minutes and send that data to a central server so the business can, in almost real time, manage the energy that it's using and make appropriate adjustments. And so within 24 hours of that project starting, it became clear that some of the bank's remote systems weren't working properly. The automatic lights weren't turning off. The air conditioning wasn't doing what it was meant to be doing. And they now have branch-level targets across their whole business. Employees can go on the intranet, see how much energy they're using on an almost real-time basis. And over the 3 years, this Internet of Things solution has helped the bank to reduce its energy consumption by 23% and saved over €1 million. So it's saving cost and meeting its government targets. Another example from the world of machine-to-machine technology. A lot of local authorities are trying to manage their carbon emissions in areas like housing and traffic and waste management. And one example that I particularly like comes from the Netherlands, from the municipality of Groningen in the Netherlands, where we work with partners to put a device in every single litter bin in the city. And that device has a Vodafone SIM in it, and it measures the level of waste in that litter bin. And once the waste reaches a certain level, a message is sent to the depot with the coordinates of the bin, and that bin is then on the next round for collection. So what it means is waste trucks don't go to empty bins that don't need emptying. It means that when a bin is full, it is emptied and is not overflowing with unhealthy and unsightly litter. And it saves fuel costs, maintenance costs, reduces the number of vehicles that are needed in the fleet. And this solution has now been rolled out across almost 25% of the Netherlands municipalities. But it's another innovative example of how we can use what we fundamentally do and our technology to drive energy efficiency improvements across other sectors. So together with our intention to operate responsibly and increase the depth of our disclosures around issues that really matter to our stakeholders around human rights, supply chain, these two areas of women's empowerment and energy innovation are at the heart of our 10-year sustainable business framework to ensure that we are playing our part in addressing the sustainable development goals over the next period of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The first man of this panel, and so far almost here on the stage, is Karel Janeček, a Czech anti-corruption activist, mathematician, and social reformer, founder of RCG, one of the most successful market makers in derivatives exchanges worldwide. He is also an author of Electoral System Democracy 2.1. To its promotion, he currently devotes his time. Karel Janeček.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you here. I'd like to say one thing. I agree, I believe the time is now. Now we have a time for global change. Now it is the time where we are first time in the human history. We have these amazing, great technologies. We have the internet, we have information, we can communicate. And now it's the first time ever that it is possible, at least technically it's possible, not that we are doing it, but it is possible to get rid of poverty, to be efficient, to feed people, to provide sustainability to everybody. And now we are here discussing how to reach the goal, how to reach the best visions that are possible now. They were never possible in human history, because always in the human history, in order for somebody to live a decent, good life, somebody had to suffer, because we just didn't have the technology, we didn't have enough resources. And the important factor is indeed information, it is communication. It is important to be able to communicate, to get data. And what I would like to offer you, one of I believe very good tools, which gives data, which provides data, which gives information, it creates information highway for people, for companies, for schools, for cities. And this tool is we call D21. D 2.1, like a new upgrade of what? Upgrade of democracy. D can be democracy, or D can be decision-making process. So imagine an upgrade from DOS to Windows in democracy. So this is what I would like to present to you. So first, let me briefly introduce myself. I'm a mathematician. I studied at Charles University, and I got my PhD at Carnegie Mellon University. And one of the second big success of my life has been RSJ, a company that is a market maker, one of the largest market makers in the world on international derivative exchanges. And with the success of RSJ, which came and lasted, and already we could see that we have big resources far beyond what one could reasonably consume in his or her life. So I started to devote resources first, and then also my time to other things, social things. First, I started the Endowment for Support of Research and Science. And by I'm talking, thanks to this endowment, I also could start the Anti-Corruption Endowment. And yes, indeed, corruption is a big issue. It is like a cancer of society, and we need to fight it, and we need to do something against corruption. And this was the goal, and has been the goal of the Anti-Corruption Endowment, which is very active here in the Czech Republic. Now, however, over some time, actually not too long, over a year, I realized by communicating to MPs and other officials, I realized that the core of the problem of our society, and I believe it is not only Czech Republic, but it is globally a core of the problem, is the selection of leaders. Those people who are in power. Those people who are leading society, they should be the masters, they should give examples. But unfortunately, it's not always the case. And indeed, it is possible to make a major improvement. And I will just show you briefly the basic idea behind D21. I will not go into details. What you will see is just a small part of it, but it should give you a picture. So imagine voting, standard voting. A city council is deciding which project to support. So we have different opportunities, including the school garden for kids, park, fireplace, etc. And then there's also VIP parking. Okay, and two guys down there, they both want VIP parking as their first choice. And this is the standard voting, so-called first past the post, which is, for example, in United States or Great Britain, the VIP parking has 2 votes, so it wins. But nevertheless, this vote gives, we can argue that this kind of voting gives the worst result from the total social utility point of view. Everybody is displeased except the 2 guys. So what is the basic, the most important idea of democracy 2.1, the new version of democracy? It is multiple votes. more votes than the winning alternative. So if only one is to be chosen, one alternative, everybody can have 2 votes. So what will happen now? You can see if we have 2 votes, then suddenly the kindergarten wins. Nobody else gives the vote to the VIP parking anymore. And we are getting a result which is probably one of the best, if not the best, from the total social utility point of view. Not only that, Democracy 2.1 has also additional very important and useful feature, and that is so-called minus vote, a vote against. So you can vote only not for, but also against, and it is important that voting for is a larger number than against, but that's those are technical details which we do not have time for. So how will the result look like now? If everybody can give also the minus vote, you can see that the VIP parking from the very first place actually goes to minus. So that's like, yeah. And this is very applicable in politics, by the way. In fact, when I designed D21, the goal, pardon, excuse me, the goal was to not eliminate, but reduce corruption in the Czech Republic. It was from the anti-corruption down when I went to the voting system, and this was the goal. Now, D21 was designed for politics, to have better leaders. However, it turned out, and fortunately it is the case, that it has very wide application, not only in politics, but it has application in cities for participatory budgeting, for companies making better sustainable decisions. And this is very good, because in order to push a much better algorithm, much better voting system to politicians, it's hard, because those people who are there in power, they are protecting their seats, and they do not want changes. But what has happened? It has happened that approximately 2 years ago, I was presenting a D21 in New York and Washington, D.C., and representatives of the World Bank suggested that D21 could be a very good tool for participatory budgeting, voting in cities. Participatory budgeting is that people, citizens, make decisions about part of the budget by voting. The first appeared in Brazil, I think, 14 or 15 years ago. Now, New York City is the largest or the most significant city in North America who actively uses participatory budgeting, and New York City has become our client, in fact. So this year, PB has been in New York City using D21, which we are very proud of. Yeah, so the motivation is that people participate, people are engaged, they are motivating. It is a tool for in the 21st century. Well, now we have democracy, we want to protect democracy, we believe that equal voting rights is a necessary thing for human society to evolve, to be just and fair, to satisfy basic principles. Well, but in modern times, why should we vote only once per 4 or 5 years? We can vote online. We can do it all the time. And I will show you in a moment applications where we have actually evolved already. So in New York City, this year, there were 28 districts out of 52 voting. 67,000 voters, so it has been growing. We believe that the growth will continue for next year and that we will be partners as well. We have designed a digital solution, the software. We provided all the services for New York City, and also scanning of ballots. So part of the voting, not all voting, it's not done electronically. In fact, most of voting in New York City has still done on papers. What D21 brings is really changes, improvements, engagement of people. And this park, I put it here because this Prospect Park is a place where we were there with my colleagues, we went jogging there, so it's a nice place. And the voting of D21 of participatory budgeting improved or changed, caused some investments in the park. So that's nice. And she is a speaker of the New York Council, very supportive woman. Another, I'd like to show you from what I would say the most advanced example, which is now in the Czech Republic. D21 in this participatory budgeting application has been already quite a few countries, including US, but also Portugal, Tunisia. But the most active we have been, of course, in the Czech Republic. And our, I'd say, star or a great example is the city Říčany, which has 15,000 inhabitants, out of which already over 1,500 are registered in so-called unmanaged Říčany. What does it mean? It means that everybody goes one, there is a fixed cost. The fixed cost, that one, you need to take your ID and you need to go to a computer or to a city place, register, you get a code, and then that's it. And once after you have registered, you can always in the future, whenever the city needs to get some information or needs to offer wants your participation, you just get a text message and you can vote, and you can make your decisions. You can vote several times a month. In managed Říčany, already over 10 votes has been done in the last year, including serious things like spending public money, but also things like what band they should invite for music festivals. So here, why is it so important? Well, the crucial thing is that we get the information. We open the information highway between city council and the citizens. It happens, and in fact, the mayor of Říčany himself was surprised. They offered a digital ballot for projects that people should vote on, and he had his favorite project, which he thought was great. And in the end, he actually found out that what he thought was a great project, people did not want at all, which was not good news for him. But nevertheless, it is important that you indeed get the objective data. It's not about what you as a city member think. It is really what people want. And not only that, you get a major information set, because you know this project, people that like it are men, women, where they live, which part of the city, what's their education, what's their job. You get all these data, as you can see on the map with those squares, so you get all data for each square. And also, not only that, you also have the minus votes, which are very important, so you see what people do not like. You can do so-called strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats analysis. You can see for a given project which has a lot of support, but also a lot of minus votes, that is very controversial. And you can look, who are the people that do not like this project? Which are they like? Well, those are people from this area, those are people with this education, so why is that? Well, and we can improve the project. So this is a great tool. It's not only about voting, but it is the information highway that you get the information and you can subsequently improve on what you are doing. So amazing management tool. For cities, we have done already we have used D21 in over 20 cities in the Czech Republic and other countries as well. But not only in the cities, it can be done also for companies and schools. We have already done voting in several schools for school project, voting with children and also teachers, and also in a few companies. Decision 2.1. Now, it's not democracy 2.1, but it is a modern company. How does a company of now should look like or does look like? What's the goal of the company? The goal is create values, create something useful for society to support the society. Of course, it is also profit. Anything that we do must be sustainable, but the profit is not, it should not be the sole goal. And well, in fact, it turns out, interestingly, that if you enlarge your scope to satisfy not only stakeholders, shareholders, but also stakeholders, then actually the profit comes as well. And for the broader goals, D21 is indeed the amazing tool. Modern management, what will people who are leading the society do? Is it one guy, a dictator, who says, no, it will be this way and doesn't listen to anybody? Not very efficient, even though some people do it like that, and some people think, yeah, I won't get into political issues, but there are some approaches. It might work, but it's not really good. I believe that it is much better for a management to use a tool to find out what employees want, what they think, what they would prefer. And the good tool is version 2.1 is indeed Democracy 2.1. Not just everybody saying yes or no, but giving people portfolio of options, seeing what they choose yes and what they choose no. That's the data that we need. It's management employees. It's also management and business partners. We have tested D21 in one company for the sellers, for the distributors. It is also management or company clients. You can find out what clients really need and how you can improve your products. Yeah. Reaching better sustainability, that's the goal of today. We want that. We want to do things that are not against people, that are not too controversial, that are not hurting anybody. We want to find out what people really think and what people really want. And of course, effectiveness is a major issue. We can find out in production, how do you know what are the weaknesses? It happens that it's just the information still is very inefficient. People who are doing the production, the information before it gets from bottom to the top management, it gets lost all the way. So it is very wise to design a tool, to design a questionnaire, but a smart questionnaire, D21 questionnaire, which gives you the weaknesses to find out what really people do not want. I would like to thank you very much, and let me say once more my hope that, and I believe so, that D21 is becoming and will be a major tool to improve further growth, improve sustainability, and help us to come to the great vision of our society, which I believe really is due. The time is on, and it is not the case that we have already won. I believe we have more than 95% chance of reaching a new chapter of human evolution. There are risks, and the risks are corruption as a cancer, environment, risks in the environment, but I believe we have tools to overcome all these issues, and we will manage to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karel. The last speaker, who flew from far away and is here on the time. Ein Bockel is an architect and urban designer, currently managing director of Bockel Architects. He was in a position of project director in 2004, where two of his projects were nominated for the Stirling Prize. So, Ein, your place.
Thank you. Okay. First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to come and talk. I'm from Glasgow, so I'll apologise to start with. Really all I wanted to do was make some observations initially on how to get this thing to work. Would you press that one? Yeah. This was the question that was posed to us about corporate sustainability. And so why do we actually need to do anything now? Yeah. Two key issues for us as designers that we're facing all the time on every single project is population growth. Yeah, this statistic here scares me to death. Yeah, I was born here in 1970. Yeah, go along. There were 3 billion people on the planet. Fast forward 46 years, there are now over 7 billion. If I get to 80, there will be 9 billion people on the planet. Urban migration. I always like to get a slide of Barcelona in for some reason. That's also changing drastically. In 1800, there were 3% of us living in cities. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Now, there are 54% living in cities, and the predictions are that that will keep growing, and in 2050, yeah, when I'm 90 or 80, there'll be 66% of us living in cities. It's not a bad thing. In 1990, there were 10 megacities. A megacity is defined as a population over 10 million. Yeah? There are now 28. By 2030, there will be 41. These what the United Nations are predicting. Yeah? The interesting statistic here, and it's another observation, is that North America, you know, the most powerful country in the world, only has 2 megacities. Why is that? Because they all drive. Yeah? They don't actually live in the city. Energy consumption, I apologize. Yeah? We all, as different countries, use a different amount of energy as our ecological footprint. The Czech Republic is not too bad. It's here. But America, at the top, if we all lived like Americans, we would need 4 planets. Okay? So again, we're using too much energy. These are various energy consumptions from around the world. The United Arab Emirates, they're the worst guys for energy consumption. But we're all guilty. Yeah? Apologies for the mobile phone people as well. It wasn't deliberate. I wasn't here to just say energy's bad. Energy's good. Yeah? We all use mobile phones, and I think some of the things that you've been mentioning about how mobile phones can actually help our society is a great thing, but we are all guilty. Yeah? That is a data center in Ireland, happens to be, there for tax reasons. These are some of the most energy-hungry buildings in the world. And what are they storing? I've said this before many times. They're storing hot air. Yeah? Twitter. All these little things that we're sending to people. What did you have for breakfast? You know, that's all getting stored, yeah, in these energy-hungry buildings. So we should all be a little bit more sensible about how we actually use mobile data, and I think the D21 thing's awesome. Yeah. So what do we need to do? Yeah. We need to challenge the way that we do things. Yeah. All of us. We all need to challenge ourselves. Some observations of how the workplace is changing. Yeah. Co-working is becoming much more important. I was reading on the plane over from London this morning, Cushman & Wakefield have said that 8% of London's office stock is now co-working space. Co-working space is defined as 2 people working in the same environment for different companies. Okay? It's becoming more and more common. We're seeing it coming forward in a lot of our designs for buildings, where buildings are becoming much more mixed use, where there may be co-working space on the ground floor, and there may be habitation space on the upper floors. And that's looking at residential. It's also looking at hotels as well, and how we actually use space. Yeah? How we actually live our lives. This is very important, and me as an employer, we have a very flexible work ethic. Yeah? Architects are the worst for working until midnight or even further. So if the guys want to come in later during the day, that's fine. Yeah? We have a minimum time when people need to be at work for social interaction, because that's very important. But the work-life balance has to change, has to get better. I love trees. Yeah? We should have more trees. I say this in every single building that we try to do. I try to get as much green on it as possible. It's not a fad. It's actually been proven by the World Health Organization that having green in building actually enhances productivity. We've actually done measurements of that now. So in every single project, if it's just a potted plant or whether it's a complete green wall, we're always trying to get green and biophilia into buildings because it makes people feel better. If there were some plants down here, we'd probably feel better. We all need to be more flexible about how we do things. Yeah? I say the world is changing at a dramatic pace, and we need to be flexible and not rigid in our ways, both in the way that we live our lives, but also in the way that we design buildings. And communication and travel. Yeah? We work in, I think at the last count, it's 12 countries around the world at the moment. You can't stop a face-to-face meeting. We've got all the technology for actually doing internet communication over the internet, but you have to see and be in a room with people to actually make final decisions. That's what I find. That's what I find all of our clients want. They're even prepared to pay to ship us over to have a face-to-face meeting. So we have all the communication technology, but I think as human beings, we need to talk to each other a wee bit more and stop hiding behind mobile phones. Sorry. So I just wanted to show you 3 projects. I'm an architect, so I've got to get a wee bit of a sales pitch in for the company. There are 3 areas that I think are key messages in sustainability. The first one is education. Yeah? Education, education, education. We all need to educate ourselves, and we all need to educate our neighbours. And on education, I've put the headline there, or the subheadline, more with less. And this is an example. We're designing a nursery school, the Nursery School 1. Yeah? So we're designing a nursery school. There's nothing really too strange about the nursery schools. Nursery schools are about 4 classrooms generally. This is a typical Montessori classroom. 4 classrooms, little green space, heart in the middle, toilets, WCs. Nothing too dramatic about that. But that's what it looks like in one of the buildings that we're designing in Singapore. Singapore is a very small space, and land values are incredibly high. So when our clients came to us and said, we want you to design as a kindergarten, we said, fine, that's good, that sounds interesting. How many people have children? A show of hands. Yeah? We want you to design a kindergarten that has 2,500 children in it, aged 18 months to 5, in one building. So you can imagine if that was a single-story building, it'd be quite large. It'd be the same size as that data center. So we had to go up. Bearing in mind, 30% of the children can't walk. Yeah. But they all have typical classrooms, little green spaces, because education outside, as again, see, green, more green for children. This is explaining to clients how you actually move children through a building who can't walk. Yeah. That's what clients look like, yeah. But that's what the building's going to look like, okay? It's an 8-story kindergarten. The final numbers are 2,200 children in one single building, yeah. We tried to make the building as green as possible. It's an education factor for the children. Our early years consultant was adamant that we had as much green on the building as possible because it softens the building, it makes the building feel calmer, it's better for the children's learning environment. The scary thing is that it opens in 14 months. So it's not a pipe dream, it's actually happening. Working with industry, we designed a building about 10 years ago. It's in London, it's called Strata, and it has 3 wind turbines on the top. And I'm not here to talk about wind turbines because there are much more efficient ways of creating energy than sticking 3 wind turbines on top of a building. But that building got us the next job because there was a delegation from China came over and they saw that building and they said, we want the guy who did that to design us a building. Because what we want to do as Vanke China Limited, who are the largest residential developer in the world, they wanted to come along and actually get us to design a building in Beijing that would, in fact, be China's first BREEAM outstanding building. There's the proof that it will be when they finally build it. The key issue here was from a design perspective, we scored 100% on the energy consumptions for the building because it's an incredibly sustainable building in terms of how we design buildings. It has a green roof, as you can see. I love trees. Yeah. It has natural ventilation capability for 50% of the year. It doesn't have any lighting in the building, so it doesn't have lights other than emergency lights and task lighting for the exhibitions. It is incredibly energy efficient, and the way that the building is used defines how we actually use energy within the building. And that's a key message for us as designers, is about how we all use buildings. Yeah? We need to be doing more with less. And then finally, I thought I'd bring it back to the Czech Republic. And we've just completed this building down in Dolní Břežany and won a MIPIN award this year, so we're very happy about that. This building is primarily for medical research. So what's it got to do with sustainability? Well, medical research makes us all live longer, which is one of the reasons why the population is going up as well. It's not just that we're all having more children. population are staying older and living longer. Again, that's changing some of the building types that we're looking at the moment. But the other point of this is this building is all about light. And in 2 years' time, we believe, they will fire the most powerful laser in the world in this building. So, great result for the Czech Republic. Well done, the guys in the Prague office. It's an incredibly complicated building. It's incredibly big. That's the size of a soccer pitch. That's the experimental halls underneath, glued to the ground, basically, because the building doesn't move. But the point that I wanted to get to on this building was this. This is a thing in California called the National Ignition Facility. And basically what happens there is there are 90 high-powered lasers, that fire into a cauldron, this big spherical ball, 90 meters in diameter, fires into it, and they hit a tiny little piece of tritium, And when they hit that, what they're trying to do is actually create fusion, clean energy, So this is happening in the background. The intensity of the one laser down in Dolny Brzany is the same intensity as the 90 lasers in California. And so some point in the future, there's another thing called Hyper, which will be built somewhere in Europe probably, which will replicate this 90 high-powered lasers with 90 of the ones that are getting developed in Dolny Brzany at the moment. And at some point, hopefully, they will create fusion. That's just a picture of light in the building. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I don't think it's... I have to thank all of you for your great speeches. I think that we will remain here seated. And as I mentioned in the beginning now, we were asking you if you can tweet your questions on the Global Compact 2030, and I've heard that might be at least some comments, not exactly the questions, am I right? So what we can see here, so honored to be part of the Global Compact 2030, thank you. We are also, is it right? Oh, thank you. We are more honored than you are. Well, we go on. Business must deliver tangible benefits to society. Annette Ferguson, yeah, thank you. Comments, okay, for the high-level panel. As the speakers live, that's the awareness. Well, so I think that we thank all of you who had tweeted. It's still the same. We're asking for your comments. Well, I was wondering, there was many very detailed solutions or the ideas how to really sustainable your companies or the project itself. But what is the real measurement of the sustainability? What do you think? Once you already implement the project, what is the measurement for the company, for your company?
I think it varies. I don't think there's one thing. And actually, and not just for companies, but when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, there's 17 of them, and there are a bunch of targets under each. There's an awful lot that can be measured there. And I think some things are easier to be measured than others. Your own energy use is much easier to measure than the impact you're having on women's lives through the use of your technology. So it's an important question, and it's important to think about how you can measure impact rather than input. But I think it's very challenging and will vary across all of those issues, would be my view.
I think it's a key question because we've seen a lot of agency, extra financial and all that, pushing on some KPIs, and we've seen corporations fitting to these KPIs, but after they have a big accident or you learn that they have cheated on something and all that. So this is a big question. I think, nevertheless, that a bunch of KPIs is key because you don't progress if you don't have objectives. And so measuring the impact you have and having targets to lower the negative impact, measuring the positive impacts you have and having targets on that is still key, even though it's not perfect. Then, I would say, I think that to ask questions, to make survey, to analyze the perception of the people that are directly connected to your company, so for example, your employees, or that are, for example, neighbors of your industrial installation is key. But also surveys on civil society, NGOs, and all that to see how they see actions of a company like Total. So maybe I will see if we can try to use D221 to do it. But we already do that in Total in different ways, maybe more classical. But I think it's very important to have the humility to have surveys and listen to the opinion of many different actors to see if you progress or not. So KPIs are key, but it's not enough.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think you mentioned the NGO. We were talking about the set of the private sector, the business sector, the NGO sector. Do you have a practical example in your company of these areas being put together and it's really working? I mean, real practical example.
I can think of some.
Well, maybe
I can give an embryonic state with a number of projects in London which are looking at private developers working with public land, basically, and getting the public landowners, local authorities, etc., to bring land to the table so that private developers can build residential, for example. The upside of that is that the landowners, the local authorities, will get more social housing, if you like, for want of a better description, in that overall package, because it makes it more viable. So it's a win-win solution for both public and private, and we're seeing a number of, as I say, can't name any names at the moment, but embryonic developments that we're looking at all around London with a number of different local authorities.
Thank you.
And that should hopefully produce better results for everybody.
You know, my question is because sometimes in Czech Republic we have the problem of involving the NGO on the same level as the business partners. This is sometimes what we are sometimes afraid of. That's the question that is aiming to, you know, to show the business partners that they don't have to be worried about including the NGO sector as real partners.
But when you say NGO, there are many different kinds of NGOs. The problem is to understand the objectives that the company or the NGOs or other kind of association has, the competences also that they have, and how you mix the competences to reach the objective. Sometimes, when you try to discuss a partnership with NGOs, but I would say even with other kind of private companies, the first discussion you see that you will never be able to match the same objective. In terms of speed to reach the objective, in terms of investment, in terms of sustainability. I have example in mind when I did this job. So if you don't manage to do that, I think it's better to stop and not to do any partnership. But there are many examples when you can do that, provided each partner accepts to share an objective that is maybe a bit different from the one he had at the beginning, and then accept that he has some competences, but the other has other competences, and everybody bring that on the table. In the example of the program Access to Energy that we've built in Total, the one that I described, where we have a program that builds simple solar devices, and we sell them in countries where people do not have access to mobility, to lighting, to whatever. We work with NGOs because even though we have internal competencies in engineering, in business, in marketing, we don't have the knowledge of maybe these people that are even not our clients, We don't have the capacity sometimes to take the necessary time to really do something sustainable and all that. So if you do that together, and it's what we've done with different NGOs, because I think that NGOs have not also all the same knowledge of the different countries, culture, and all that. If you do that, you manage.
Thank you. Annette?
Yeah, I think there are examples. One of the ones I mentioned was the Tanzania Health Partnership, which is the government in Tanzania, but also local delivery partners, so local NGOs as well as Vodafone delivering on that project. But there are others. There are probably fewer that are tripartite, that are government, NGO, and business, and often it may be two of those three. But there are examples out there, and plenty more potential to try and grow them and to really deliver things at scale. I think to deliver things at scale, you need to have that, and everyone brings their different competencies to that.
I've heard, for example, an NGO telling us, give the money and we do the job. This is not a partnership to my view.
Okay.
And we know that often they fail. And if we say the same to the NGO, we have the money, we have the competencies, blah, blah, just to do the charity part, it can't work neither.
Okay. Karel?
I have an example which is D21. In fact, D21 at the beginning, it has been an NGO, and I never thought that it could be a business. It came as a big surprise, this application for cities and companies. And so now D21 is becoming actually a company which may in the future look like extremely profitable company. But at the same we have the NGO. So this is a very interesting situation. We try to cooperate, but fortunately, it is very much supportive itself. So there is not really any conflict. And for me, I always stress the NGO part. But in the end, the way I understand it, that stressing the NGO part actually makes even more profit just longer in the future. So it's like investment for the future.
Okay. I'm wondering, we are saying that shouldn't be too late for changes. This is somehow the motto of this summit. So I wonder, is there some field where we might be late or getting late to take the actions? Should we be worried about something that we might miss in the time and make some real problems? Should we concentrate on something? Is it too hot for you, or maybe?
No.
I mean, for me personally, I think it depends whether you're having an optimistic or a pessimistic day, really.
Okay, you can answer on both.
I mean, I think, there are, as the Sustainable Development Goals, there are serious challenges that are getting worse, not getting better. And unless we do something differently, that will be the trajectory that could continue. So, and that's probably the pessimistic view. And I'm sure many environmentalists would argue that climate, we're not talking about maintaining climate at the temperature, we're talking about limiting the temperature increase. And many may argue that that is absolutely critical and not too late, but we're working to get backwards. But there's also so many solutions out there, and I think that's come out there. And I think the real challenge is actually scaling those. So looking at the things that can have a real impact, and how do you scale that so that's hitting not 100 people or 1,000 people, but it's hitting 1 million people or 10 million people or 1 billion people. And I think for me that's one of the real challenges here, is there's so much innovation, but the challenge is how do you scale that to have a material impact?
Thank you. Any comment on that?
I don't know the answer. Basically, no. I mean, I think
so
we have no.
On your field,
we have no choice. We have to move as fast as possible. I think we do believe, we are convinced about that. But we have to really not only talk but do things, and in line with, as I said, our main purpose, our corporate purpose. If you work in a company and whatever. So I don't even ask me the question. No. We have to do it. That's it.
Okay, I think that this might be the closing point of this panel. Thank you very much. I hope that the next panels will be opening up the more optimistic solutions than the pessimistic. Well, thank you very much once again for your speeches, ladies and gentlemen. Now there is a lunch break now, and we just want to point out that we have the vegetarian meal for you because we want to reduce our carbon footprint.
That's good.
Well, maybe it might be full up, but we are very serious about that. Anyway, don't forget, if you are feeling to know something more about our nation, Czech nation, please sign in for the guide tour of Sloven Epic, which is just in the foyer. Thank you very much and see you in our time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.